everyone, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we are bringing you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and we're bringing in our newsroom staff members to talk about the trending stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. It was a great weekend for me. I'm glad to be back at the digital desk giving you all of these trending stories that you can hear about. And it's a good episode of Inside the Newsroom today, and we're going to get started right away with our first story. Although President Donald Trump signed a Columbus Day declaration, South Dakota will still celebrate Native Americans Day today on October 13th. And joining us in looking into the history behind Native Americans Day in South Dakota is our digital reporter, Ray Yost. Now, Ray, to start off, for South Dakota, it is known as Native Americans Day, right? What's the history behind the holiday here in the state?
Well, Native Americans Day is a state holiday that started with a proclamation, then with Governor George Mickelson in 1990. So we've had Native Americans Day since, for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
And we were the first in the nation to declare an official Native Americans Day, and it's on this Monday, which is traditionally a federal holiday, as Columbus Day.
Right. And, on the national level, as you're bringing up, President Trump has said and declared Columbus Day and kind of ignored Indigenous Peoples Day. But what are we hearing from South Dakota lawmakers about this holiday? Are they doing the same thing, like declaring Columbus Day instead, or are they still recognizing Native Americans Day that you've learned?
Well, on Friday, Governor Larry Roden, he has what is a column that's released to all the media where he talks about different topics. And he cited Native Americans Day as Monday in South Dakota, and actually suggested or recommended that people learn more about the Native American history here in the tribes, and said they could use the Education Center as a source. So he wanted people to learn more about Native American history. He also said the day is a chance to kind of celebrate that culture and what they've contributed to South Dakota.
And who else did you speak to for your story?
Well, I spoke to former lawmaker Tamara St. John, who is a member of the Sisseton-Wahpeton tribe and is their archivist and a historian. And she just talked a little bit about, the importance of the holiday, that it's good, acknowledging the Native American history is not erasing a particular history, including that of Christopher Columbus. It's just adding to history. And the former senator also pointed out that, we can't ignore Christopher Columbus's history here, but it needs to be truthful and honest. And that would include some of the things that maybe people would say weren't so great about Columbus's history in North America or in the area.
So your story really takes on this historical angle from then to now, with looking at what of our lawmakers saying now, what of our former lawmakers saying now, and what was it like before. So how do you think adding all of this together really fleshed out your story?
Well, I think, it's always good because the state is growing. We have a growing population, and folks may not always know the history of the Native Americans Day here in South Dakota, so you kind of want to explain how long we've had that. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a lot of discussion about Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, and so you want to go back and say, okay, it's been Columbus Day since roughly I'm not going to have the date off the top of my head, but back when FDR was president, it was declared a federal holiday. And I think the other thing is Native Americans Day is here in South Dakota. Doesn't mean that there's not federal acknowledgement of Columbus Day. Almost for the last several years, including President Biden, signed a declaration or proclamation about Columbus Day, but also about Indigenous Peoples Day. The difference here is President Trump signed the proclamation for Columbus Day, but not for Indigenous Peoples Days. So you want to kind of go back and maybe explain, too, why Columbus Day may be controversial for Native Americans or Indigenous folks, because some of Columbus's history, from multiple sources, including examinations of his own letters or journals, he enslaved certain Native peoples or Indigenous peoples when he Cuba and some of the other islands in that area, and also looked to conquer, which is part of, the other piece is he was an explorer, and it led to trade and other exploration back between Europe and eventually what was to become America.
I find your headline very powerful, Ray. Just like keeping it as it is it's still Native Americans Day in South Dakota. How did you come up with this headline?
Well, I think you're looking to say, okay, how does it draw people in to explain why I think the public gets questions or has questions about, well, if the president just declared Columbus Day, why do we have Native American celebration? Perhaps maybe asking why we have a Native Americans Day parade, why there's acknowledgments from some lawmakers, including Governor Roden and U.S. Rep. Dusty Johnson to Native Americans Day. So I think it's a headline that says, look, we've had Columbus Day. Yes, it was reaffirmed as part of the federal holiday, but it's also Native Americans Day in South Dakota. So it's kind of explanatory, as well as it may draw people in who want to know more about, wait a minute, I thought the president did this, but so it draws people in as well.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you'd like viewers to know about this particular story, Ray?
Not necessarily about this particular story. You can read it. There's links to some of the history of Native Americans Day. There's links to some of the history of Christopher Columbus. And then not really specific to my story, but we have plenty of coverage again today of the Native Americans Day Parade.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ray. And yes, KELOLAND News live streamed the Sioux Falls Native American Day Parade this morning, and we will have team coverage on the event tonight on KELOLAND News, both on air and online. And still to come, we look at 47 years of marriage and counting after military service. Stay with us. More of Inside the Newsroom coming up after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Each veteran who gets the opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. on a Midwest honor flight has their own unique experience. That's especially true for a husband and wife who both served in the military. Jordan DeSmit was on the latest honor flight to capture their story.
Dean and Leanne Murfield of Sioux Falls have been married for 47 years and are both Vietnam-era Army veterans. They were each stationed at Camp Humphreys in South Korea 4 years apart, but they didn't know each other while in the military.
How did you two meet?
At Leanne's birthday party.
My 22nd birthday party in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, through a family friend, Tim. He was in guards with Dean, and Tim's dad and my dad were friends as little kids, and I've known Tim all my life. And he just happened to bring Dean along to my birthday party, and then Tim had invited me to go to the National Guard Christmas party in Madison the next night, so I saw Dean there again. So it was a God thing.
During his time in South Korea, Dean spent time at an orphanage.
My friends in the company there at Camp Humphreys supported an orphanage. We went 20, 30 miles to where they had a farm plus the orphanage, and we worked at both places helping out the kids.
That experience inspired Dean and Leanne to adopt 2 children later in life.
It's been wonderful. Yep. We got them both as babies, and through Lutheran Social Services in Sioux Falls. And I just can't imagine life without children and grandchildren, so it was the right choice for us, and I think adoption is a really good choice for people.
The couple spent time touring Washington on Midwest Honor Flight's 28th mission, reflecting on their service to their country and the impact the military had on them, and they felt grateful for the opportunity.
It's very humbling for me because I feel like I was happy and that I could be able to give back to my community and my country. So it's humbling to see how much people do appreciate that.
And Jordan DeSmit joins us now at the digital desk to talk more about this story and this experience that he's had with the Midwest Honor Flight. But Jordan, I want to start off by thinking about this specific story because it's just so interesting and cool that you were able to meet both Leanne and Dean for this. So how did you learn about them and their story? And then how did this inspire you to create your own story for KELOLAND News?
Yeah, so when I reached out to Aaron Van Beek, he's the Midwest Honor Flight CEO, about going on this honor flight, I asked, hey, do you have anything that you can give me that would maybe give me some story ideas? And they have the veterans like fill out these sheets of just like your testimonials, your time in the military. Oh. And when I was going through those, I found these two. And I'm like, this would be an awesome story. And actually, they found me at the airport before we flew out to D.C. So they found me, and I was looking for them anyway, but they found me. And I'm like, at some point in D.C., we got to talk. And we did. We were able to talk. I think that was our first stop in D.C. We sat and chatted. So.
And, in the story, after you put it all together and published it, you don't really talk in it yourself. You kind of let Dean and Leanne do all of the sharing for their own story. So was that intentional for you, or why did you edit the story in this way?
Yeah, I think typically I don't have sound bites that are this long in a story. But I think in this situation, the sound bites were good enough to have them go that long. And I think I had the attitude of like, look, they're telling their story. They can tell it better than I can. So let's let them tell their story and let them tell. I mean, it was their love story. That's what it was. So I thought it was important to let them share it.
Yeah. What, if anything, do you want viewers to take away from this specific story?
I would say, every veteran has their own story. I think, when I was looking into going on this honor flight, I had to really kind of convince our managers of like, look, this is worth it because look, these honor flights, they're probably the same every time, but each veteran is unique and they have their own individual story. That's why I led off my intro with saying that, right? Because each veteran has their own unique story. So it's important to make sure that we are appreciative of what they do and understand that it's important to tell their stories because they each had their own unique experience in the services.
Was this the first time that you were able to travel on the Midwest Honor Flight yourself?
It was. It was my first time. So it was my first time in Washington, D.C. too.
Oh,
so
wow. Double whammy.
It was quite the experience. It was just amazing. What amazed me was just how many important structures and buildings are there. Because, on the bus, we had a tour guide too, and she pointed out this one and that one. Oh, there's the F5 building, the Department of Education building. I'm like, oh, that's all here. Wow. So it was really cool, and it was a once in a lifetime experience, and hopefully I can do it again.
Yeah,
awesome.
No kidding. After going on that trip, being on that flight, going to DC, what's been sticking with you since just being a part of that trip and also covering these stories?
I would say just how grateful the vets were that I was there. I built up kind of a rapport with a few of them. It got to the point where they started to really kind of give me a hard time. They're like, Jordan, man, you're sweating, man. You're running around everywhere. And I was running around everywhere, just getting a lot of shots and gathering stories and gathering people. I would say just my favorite part was just getting to know those vets and telling their stories and learning why they wanted to be in the military and what it meant to them and what it meant to them to be honored for their service.
You've been covering the Midwest Honor Flight since last week, and then we just saw this recent story air on Sunday. Are you planning to do more stories about the flight? Yeah, so
I've put up 2 so far. The first one was I talked to a couple of Vietnam vets after they saw the memorial, so that got a little emotional. And so I talked to a couple of Korean War vets, so you're going to hear from them sometime this week. And it's important to make sure we highlight Korean vets because, there's not very many of them left. They're kind of getting a little older now. And you're also going to hear from a father and son. They both served, and the son served in Afghanistan. The father served in Vietnam, and the son's actually a third generation. The grandpa in all this served in World War II. So that's going to be another story you're going to hear sometime this week.
Oh, wow, Jordan, it sounds like you really got like a range of different stories. And again, as you keep pointing out, it just adds to the uniqueness of not only the service and the experience that these veterans go to, but for you being able to cover stories like this, have you had to balance those emotional aspects with paying tribute? You know what I'm saying? It just feels like it's kind of hard to tackle, but it may be very rewarding.
I think it has been rewarding because these guys went through a lot when they were overseas, right? They saw a lot of things that maybe even still affect them now. Mm-hmm. And so just this little bit, this one day of people appreciating what they do, I think means a lot to them. And especially, seeing, and there's a reason why they go to these memorials. They hit up just about every memorial there, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, whatever it may be. And I think some of them probably see names of people who they serve with on these memorials, and it gets emotional. And it means a lot to them that people care enough to fly them out to D.C. to help them see this.
We're wrapping up on time right now for this Inside the Newsroom segment, but is there anything else that you'd like our viewers to know about either this specific story with Dean and Leanne or the stories to come?
I think we about covered it, Maddie. Just stay tuned this week.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you so much for being here, and everyone stick around. We got a chilly start to the week today, but rain chances are going to return. So let's bother Scott Munt and hear what he has to say when we come back on Inside the Newsroom. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, I had a wonderful, beautiful, perfect, extraordinary weekend, but the start of this week, a little chilly, Scott.
I was waiting to hear what you did for this wonderful, beautiful weekend.
Stayed outside in nicer
And
temperatures.
I should have known it was going to go circle around to the cold air.
Well, it always does. But you know what? I'm trying to be a little positive about it. I'm trying not to hamper down too much.
So what's the positivity?
About chillier weather?
Yeah.
I get to stay inside.
But you're going out every weekend. You're going somewhere every weekend.
For the fun of it. I could still go out every weekend.
So then when you
That's the
travel
positive
somewhere,
part.
do you stay inside the hotel or the house or wherever you're staying?
I think I'll have to
It's great to be
now.
here, but I'm going to stay inside my room.
I think I will have to now because it's just going to be
cold.
a little too chilly. 40 degrees. You know what? That's stay inside weather for me. The winter coat will have to come out this week. I am saying that right now. It will be coming out.
Tomorrow. Wait till tomorrow.
Tomorrow for sure is the day
Cloudy,
that it needs to come out.
rain.
Yeah.
We'll see how much into the 50s we get, if we get in the 50s at all.
Rain on Wednesday too, right?
More scattered on Wednesday. A little warmer too.
Big on Tuesday. Well,
Thursday,
tonight too.
Yeah, we'll have rain tonight. Thursday, which is good. I know we need it. And Thursday we get close to 80. So you'll have one good day out of 5.
True. Okay, that could be my big outdoor day.
Fourth
See,
week.
how positive are we, Scott?
Well, that was me searching for you.
I'm not.
I'm getting on your nerves.
No.
Last time I'm on the show.
No. Well, last week I brought up how this was on Friday's episode of Inside the Newsroom. I was bringing up how I am now embarrassed every time I bring up the S word to you because I realized that you've just been hearing that kind of joke for so long now. Whenever someone's talking about snow, they say, "Oh, here comes the S word," and it's like, oh, gosh, I can't think of how many times you've heard that and had to be funny about that.
And then what's the other one? The white stuff.
The white stuff or the B word. Blizzard, right?
Yeah.
Have to think about my words. Have to think about my words for a second. I think it's all the ones that you typically hear. But anyway, I was bringing up that I had seen a video of a forecast that you have done for our newscast. This is the midday newscast a long time ago.
Many years ago.
And I found the clip. So this is from, I think, 10 years ago.
Oh, just look at that excitement on my face.
Everyone who's walked by has said, look at that hair.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I mean, isn't
look
that
at
something? Brady always had good hair.
No, I'm talking about you. Nice try. But I thought this clip was funny at the beginning because it's an example of your reaction to when you just hear the S word. It either is what it is or you just keep going. So I just want to play a little bit of this.
Let's see it.
I heard you say the S word.
Yes.
Snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's happening.
What it is,
That's coming up.
Yes, late today, this evening in western South Dakota, chance to see some snow. In the meantime, Empire Mall Skycam with
That was pretty much it. It's just the fact that you're like, it's snow. Like you don't have to go any more
degrees.
into it. Like it is just snow. I want to hear it again.
The S word.
Yes.
Snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
You're just like,
Yep, that's what it's called.
That's it. I just love that reaction from you. And it just made me realize, like, man, you have been on this joke for years, and it just kind of is what it is because you're the meteorologist.
It's 98.
You're going to have to hear about the S word every once in a while, Scott. Well, you predict it, or you're looking at, your snowfall predictions that you do every year.
Yep. S word, white stuff. And then you always say the other one.
What's the other one? Another one?
It's not the S word. It's not the S word. It's
the B word?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I was like, okay. Those are our two
not
words.
saying that.
I think I've said this before on Inside the Newsroom, but one of the first stories I've done with you when I started in March was recapping your snowfall prediction for 2024 into 2025.
Yes.
And that was the first time I'd met you, and we did that story, and that was a lot of fun. But look at us now.
Oh, I know. We're just longtime friends now.
I know. Look how far we've come together.
Yeah.
Now we continue to talk about the S words and the B words, even though we should talk more about rain right now, because that's more relevant than the S word. In my
We had
opinion.
some rain over the weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday night into Sunday morning. I picked up maybe around 0.2 of an inch.
Okay.
I welcome anything.
Yeah.
But during the day yesterday, man, we made it to 81.
In Sioux Falls?
In Sioux Falls yesterday. Made it to 81. Clouds thickened around 2. 3 o'clock it was cloudy. The front moved through around 4. And then after 4 o'clock, the temperature kept falling as a northwest wind brought in a much cooler air. So
see,
that's what brings us to our very cold winter coat weather that you enjoyed this morning.
Exactly. I'm going to continue to enjoy it. Smiles, hearts and sparkles.
Hearts and sparkles. Smiles all around.
I'm surprised by the 81 because, again, I was out of town this weekend. And I was in Mankato, Minnesota.
Oh, and you stayed inside. That's right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, yep. But on Saturday, it was nice. But on Sunday, it's funny that you say it was 81 here because on Sunday down there, it was like 50 degrees. It was very rainy and extremely windy. And so I was like, oh, Sioux Falls is going to be the same. Nope. Yeah. I'm wrong.
It was a nice warm day. There's a chance that we'll get close to 80. A forecast high 78 for Thursday. Okay. But that will come with some wind. We'll see if we get another round of rain as that colder air comes in. You know, once that front moved through, temperatures cooled. We had a couple of, very light rain showers that came in along, behind that front, I should say, but that didn't add up to anything.
Tough. It's
right.
okay. We'll be positive. Maybe more rain.
Yeah, we'll get some rain tonight, tomorrow, and I would say a good average in southeastern South Dakota might end up being 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. There is some model data that's putting out at least a 1/2 inch of rainfall. But keep in mind how dry it's been.
Yeah.
We really don't want to overpromise and underdeliver with the rainfall amounts for people looking for rain.
True.
So I think a good average may end up being 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. And if you get a 1/2 inch, fantastic.
Is this what you and Brian talk about today for weather or not?
We talked not so much about that. We talked a lot about that during KELOLAND this morning.
Okay.
But on whether or not, that last segment is good 12, maybe 13 minutes. And I talk about a lot of cycles and patterns going into the month of November. I think it's a very interesting topic to see how these things overlap with the hits of cold air that we've had during the summer and even this fall, and with our 90-day fog theory and that 40 to 45-day pattern that we've been on with our cold air. And we talk a little bit about these closed lows that help bring us precipitation. So that last segment lasts a good 12, 13 minutes, and I'm trying to put all that stuff together that it spits out a couple of dates in, even the end of October and beginning of November.
Are we going to have a spooky Halloween? Some fog?
That's a pretty good question. Fog, predict that out, a couple of weeks out. That's really hard to do. But
get on it.
There is October 28th is a date that shows up.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say because, I need those views on whether or not.
I know. Okay. Everyone go watch Whether or Not. That's coming up at 1:30 live on KELOLAND Plus. Always on demand.
And on demand.
Always on demand on KELOLAND Plus. Well, Scott, we're running out of time. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
I am good. Oh, I won't be here tomorrow. Okay.
Well,
so
we should end on a happy note.
So,
on a sad note.
But I'll be here on Wednesday.
Okay. So there's positivity at the end of the day. There we go.
I won't talk about the rest of the week.
And we'll still have Whether or Not tomorrow, just with Brian, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. Then we're good to go. We still got our shows. All right, everyone. That's all the time that we have for Inside the Newsroom today. Thanks for watching. And until next time, have a great day, everybody.